Let's have a look at our education system. And a parents association, actually known as the Kenya National Association of Parents, says that it is ready to sue the Ministry of Education and the Teacher Service Commission over what they term illegal fees charged by public schools. The association says some public secondary schools are charging up to 100,000 shillings per term in school fees, therefore denying a huge population of students from poor backgrounds the right to education. Now, according to the Basic Education Act, all children are entitled to free basic education from pre-primary to secondary. So we are now joined by Amos Kaburu, who's an education analyst, to get more insight on the cost of education in Kenya's public schools. Amos, the first question to you perhaps is, how free is free education?
That's an interesting, thanks Edith for that question. That's a bit interesting on how free is free education in this country, because the Act provides that the government should shoulder the responsibility of free and compulsory education. But unfortunately, a year after this law came into effect, we do not see any drastic measures to ensure that the education is free in this country. Rather, we see that parents continue being charged fee, and is even excavated to an extent that there are schools which are charging more than 90,000 Kenya shillings as fee in a year.
To government's defense, they have put out recommendations. They've said that every year a child should be spending no more than 18,000 shillings, and they're topping that up with 10,000. So where are we getting this disconnect?
Thanks, Edith. The disconnect is that the government, the process of reviewing what are the charges seems not to be very, very keen, and is a process that is always delayed. It is not up to speed, and it does not address the issues as they are. For instance, you cannot still be giving the 10,265 that you are giving in 2008 and still be giving it to date. The other thing is that the government seems to be not basically in charge by knowing that schools are charging this money. So it could be that the government is not in charge, or it is waiting and overseeing over this impunity that is taking place in the schools. Because some of the schools, even within Nairobi, they are less than 15 kilometers from the Ministry of Education headquarters, and they are charging all these amounts of money. Okay. Yet we cannot see any decision being taken by the Ministry of Education officials.
Amos, according to the story in the Standard newspaper, the Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kaimenyi said that his ministry does not have an audit of what these schools are spending their money on. So what are they charging the students for, from 18,000 to 100,000? Where are these costs coming in?
And exactly that is where the problem is, because the Cabinet Secretary seems not to be aware of what is taking place. And that's what I meant by saying that basically the government is not in charge, because the government needed to have taken a serious audit of establishing what are these additional costs that are being charged. Because according to the guidelines released in 1999, it's supposed to be, parents were only supposed to be charged an additional 2,000 shillings, which was the development levy. But now the government is not in charge. We have schools coming out with all forms of excuses. The cost of living has gone up, and even you cannot understand. You look at cases of why a school is made a national school, and within a week the cost of that school has gone up from basic of 40,000 to almost 90,000 Kenya shillings. That is where the entire disconnect is in.
Okay, Amos, unfortunately we're running out of time, but final question. Musau Ndunda, the Secretary General for the Kenya National Association of Parents, says that he is going to sue government because he says they're not following protocol. Will this assist the situation? I mean, the students will still be required to pay the outrageous fees, as he called them. Where will the reprieve come in?
I think that it's important that we have this issue interpreted by the courts of this land, because that's where we pay the money for the interpretation of the laws to be done. But it will be important that the government should not wait to be taken to court, but it should come out to be very, very clear in terms of what are the guidelines on what should be paid. I think the parents of this country are not running away from paying fee. They are ready to do that. And all they're asking the government is to have a harmonized approach through which this money is charged, because you cannot have some schools charging 78, others are charging 90, and others even are charging 100. We need to be clearly told what are the factors that are put into consideration to determine what is being charged. The parents of this country, that's all that they are waiting for. They are not afraid of paying fee.
All right, thank you very much, Amos Kaburu. He's an education consultant, and he did talk about how much government is spending per child. Remember, Musau Ndunda has claimed that these figures are outrageous, and if you want more on those details, standardmedia.co.ke.